Hello, hello, I'm Kads, and welcome back to the free-to-play review. It's actually been a while since I've had an entry into this series, partially because of all the work travel I've been on recently, but also I didn't have as much to talk about. So with that in mind, if there are any topics you guys would like me to cover specifically from the free-to-play perspective, then I will definitely add them into the series for more recurring content. So today we're going to be talking about the anniversary path going on here in the event tab. Now, unfortunately, this is the worst combination of objectives, those being artifact enhancement and dungeon divers. They're just really costly and really poor rates or coins per energy overall. But nonetheless, it is available here if you want to pursue it. And down here at the bottom, you can see we have some juicy legendary tomes as well as an eternal soul stone. We also have a void shard here in the middle, which is relatively affordable. We'll talk about that later. And of course, you have your free pick of the avatars here between the two Bannerlords. So overall, despite my grievances with the objectives, I do think this is a pretty cool opportunity to kind of just pick up a free avatar depending on who you care more about, Baron or Septimus. In my case, I did choose Baron, even though I don't have him, or Septimus. But I do like that aspect, and I'd like them to offer more avatars in the game, similar to this, where it's just kind of free or relatively easy to obtain. Obviously, if you do want both, you're going to have to go all the way down to the Eternal Soulstone and get the second key. So we're going to talk about how much that costs. But if you really, really cared, then you could get both of them. But getting one, I think, is good enough for majority of players. So let's talk cost. How many coins are you going to need to get some of those juicy rewards here down at the bottom? Now, the first thing you'll notice is that these paths aren't exactly as split as normal. And so you kind of have 2/3 left paths. You have an upper middle and a lower middle path. So it's definitely going to get a bit convoluted. But the way I tried to break this down was kind of following the least costly path to the respective rewards. So what I'm denoting as left 1 and right 1, which are identical, the far left and far right paths, all the way down to the legendary tomes, is going to cost you 20,500 points per side. And what I'm denoting as left 2 and right 2, which is following the outside but switching over to the barrel here, or the 5-star chicken, and then going down to the Eternal Soul Stone, is going to cost you 45,500 points. And if for some reason you wanted to make it more expensive, then you could go what I'm calling left 3 and right 3, where you kind of come down here and you take this center path here, past the void shard, still down to the barrel and or the chicken, and you come back down to the Eternal Soul Stone. That's going to cost you around 48,000 points. And it's worth noting that these aren't symmetrical, so this side is slightly more expensive with the legendary Chaos Ore. Alternatively, you also have the shortest path of them all, where if you just take either side, you come through the middle, the left side is cheaper in this case, and you go straight down to the void shard. That's only going to cost you about 10,800 coins, so that is the cheapest bang for your buck as far as the entire path goes. But the next best option would be going all the way down for one of the legendary tomes. So what does this look like in terms of energy cost? So here I have in my spreadsheet here that I will link down in the description below, but we have our standard calculator here for the Dungeon Divers portion of the event, where we have the champion training aspect of it, where we have an average of about 1.25 coins per energy. And then you have each of the respective high-level stages of normal mode, stage 20, 24, 25, and hard mode, stage 10. It's worth noting here that with the addition of the mythical items for hard mode, you do actually get better coins per energy for doing hard 10, if you can, than compared to normal 25, but it is not better necessarily than normal mode 24. So it's better than 25 in terms of energy efficiency, surprisingly. As you can tell here, just with the energy costs being increasing as you progress higher in the stages, stage 20 is still the most optimal for the amount of coins per energy, so that's the most energy efficient stage to run, and you get roughly 2 coins per energy. So now let's translate that into real energy costs so you guys can understand what this is going to take. So if we hop over to the lovely table over here on the right, you can see we have it broken down by each of the respective areas, whether it be the campaign, stage 12 3 on brutal, or the respective dungeon stages. We also have it broken down by each of the paths. And so left 1 here, I used shorthand. So left 1 corresponds to left 1, right 1, as I specified earlier. Same thing with right 2, left 2, and left 3, right 3, and the middle path. So you can take the time here to read the table if you really want, but the gist of it is that picking, even just doing the legendary tome, especially going for the Eternal Soulstone, it's going to cost you a boatload of energy, tens of thousands of energy. The cheapest thing would be to go for the void shard, but even then it's still going to cost you somewhere around 6,000 to 6,500 energy. So obviously it's not worth doing entirely with dungeon divers, but of course there is also the artifact enhancement aspect of it. And so if you do have some silver to spare, then you can offset some of your dungeon runs by upgrading artifacts and take advantage of that half of the path. In my case, unfortunately, having spent most of my silver finishing the Jet Fusion, I have none, so I basically can't do the artifact enhancement part of it, and so I'm only left with the Dungeon Divers part, which, as we just saw, is a boatload of energy that I do not have as a free-to-play player. So my plan is basically to just skip this, ignore it. I'm not really going to get anywhere. I'll do enough Dungeon Divers just by casually grinding some dungeons over the next couple of days, and then I'll walk away with basically an avatar and maybe some of the cheaper rewards on one of the paths. So what I'm going to be doing more so is focusing on the Dragon tournament here that's specific to the Bannerlords faction. So I'm going to hope that there's some Void Shard or something more here on the rewards on the right, and I'm also going to chase down that Relentless, and hopefully everyone else, especially those in my group, are going to be focused on the 3x Savage event starting tomorrow for Fire Night. So I'm going to ignore that one as well. I'm not really doing the Dragon tournament today, just I didn't think that was efficient enough, even though it's triple speed. But there's going to be more of those in the future, so I'm not worried about missing this one in particular. But I'm hoping that this group will be relatively dead while everyone else is focusing on other things, so I'm going to try and go for the Relentless because I put that one above Savage and Speed Gear. Alternatively, in this case, I opted out of the Ice Golem tournament, but check your groups because this type of thing is where most people won't be super active at all. As you can see here, even if I did a handful of runs, I mean, I'm already 8th, but just doing a couple more runs and I could basically squeeze into 6th here and just grab some free gems. So keep an eye out on your Ice Golem tournament because there's a bunch of other things going on that's going to distract the majority of players. And so you might be able to sneak into the top 3 here. And in this case, it's a lot of energy that I'd have to spend to beat these guys. But check your group and see, because you never know, you might just be able to sneak in and get some free energy, some free gems for 5 runs or so. So be sure to check your groups. Alrighty, so that is it for the free-to-play review of this anniversary path. The gist of it being, if you happen to have the resources, that being the silver and the energy to spend, then you should definitely pursue at the very least the Void Shard and or the Legendary Tomes. You have plenty of things to choose from. You have 3x speed going on right now for Dragon, and tomorrow you have 3x on Savage. You also have the Bannerlord specific Dragon tournament as well as the Ice Golem tournament going on. So you basically just get a pick of the litter for what you want to focus on and where you want to spend your energy in terms of dungeon farming. But overall, you have options, and so you can focus on the divers aspect and then offset some of the cost of the energy that we talked about in the spreadsheet with some artifact enhancement, leveling up your gear. Oh, and one last thing to mention here is that the clan shop has reset for the week, and we do have a lovely 1000 energy in here to use. Now is the perfect time to use it because you do have the path going on, you have some tournaments going on, you have the 3x on speed, the 3x on savage. So over the next couple of days would be a great time to use this 1000 energy to your advantage. As I mentioned at the top of this video, the purpose of this segment is to cover current events or current happenings going on in the game from the free-to-play perspective. So if there's any more events that are somewhat recurring that you guys would like me to add to this segment, whether it be 10x's on weekends, whether or not I like to pull, or certain events that pop up, seasonal events, let me know in the comment section down below and I could add them to the list. As always, if you found this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit that subscribe button down below as well. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.